Hey everybody, Coach Michael here. Hope you're all doing really well. Back here on a Monday again for an open class, and really excited for this broadcast today. I think we have a lot of good questions and some good information to share with all of you out there who are watching and listening. Really appreciate you guys joining the channel, following the channel. Really means a lot to us. Really appreciate it. I want to just start off by encouraging you all, if you're interested, to watch Coach Daniel's interview of Casper, whose mom passed away from sporadic fatal insomnia. And it's a really, really interesting story and interesting interview to really try to help understand what this sporadic fatal insomnia, or sometimes fatal familial insomnia, is really all about. You get a sense of the types of things that his mom went through before she passed. And it really sheds a lot of light on how it is really not insomnia as anyone out there probably really thinks of insomnia. It is, it's like a neurodegenerative condition. They only diagnosed it in an autopsy postmortem, that they really could confirm that that's what it was. They call it a prion disease, which has to do with the proteins in the brain and how the structure of the brain and things like that. But really interesting to hear him share the story of what she was going through as this disease progressed. It is considered case number 22 ever discovered, which gives you a sense of the rarity of it. And I think if you're worried about that, because we do get clients, that will say they're worried, they've read about this, and do they have this? And the short answer is you don't know unless you have an autopsy. That's the only way they can officially confirm it. But if you listen to his story of his mom, you'll get a sense for how rare it is and how much it doesn't really sound even like anything like insomnia, of what you might think of insomnia. So I encourage everyone to listen to it. It's just done a couple days ago, and you'll see it on the channel here. Got some emails today I'm going to go through. Trying to think if there's anything else I was going to share. I think that was it. I just want to encourage you to listen to Coach Daniel's interview of Casper. So let's just jump right into some emails here, and feel free to chat here. I'll keep an eye on that as I go through. Let's see, Rudy quickly chatted. So basically, it doesn't really have anything to do with sleep, then, if I'm hearing correctly. I mean, I can't say it doesn't, but it's the term insomnia in that disease name is, to me, it seems kind of misplaced. So I just encourage you to watch. You'll learn so much more than I can articulate right here. You'll learn so much about this condition, and I think it'd be really helpful for anyone who's concerned and thinks they may have this or something. And I think it'll help kind of help put you at ease a little bit, to kind of give you the information you need to really understand what might or might not be going on with you. Okay, so let's jump to the emails here. So first email, let me see here if I can get this going on here, will be from, let me see here. There we go. And this will be from Ralph. And hi, Daniel. I discovered you on YouTube, and I'm loving your content. Thank you for, oh, I'm sorry. Let me jump ahead. We're going to start off here. Angela, first one I want to talk about. Can you tell me about the school? Yes, the Sleep Coach School. The Sleep Coach School, we have two main tracks. One is you can learn to be a sleep coach, and the other is you can do a self-coaching program. And the self-coaching program we're just about to launch, so I want to focus on that. It is a video-based curriculum. There'll be new classes every week, and we'll be using a lot of the NATO concepts, that non-attachment to the outcome idea. And there'll be an actual manual that you'll get, a PDF that talks about all the different ways that attachment to an outcome can be manifested, and you'll learn how to redirect your thinking about certain things that can tend to perpetuate insomnia. So that's a super helpful document right there. Then let me see here. Oops. If I can get back on my screen. Oh, okay. Let me try that one again. But more about the school real quick. So you'll have, there'll be a drop-in class they'll be offering. There'll be a moderated forum. It will be a membership-based program. So you'll be able to have access to a lot of information, a lot of guidance from Coach Daniel and myself. And really encourage you to check it out. We should be launching it, I think, probably maybe by the end of the next week or something like that. So it's coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely make a big announcement on that. See if I can get back to my sharing here. And sorry about this. Let's see here. Oops. Just one quick second, and I will. Get this going here. Here we are. All right. Okay, sorry about this. I think I got it here. Okay, here we are. We're back, I think, right? Angela, yes, that was Angela's question. So thank you for asking about that. Next, we have from Anonymous. Just wondering, have you heard about the Pillow app, and is it accurate? Also, do you have any tips to have better focus and concentration? I find it especially difficult to understand things. Especially imagining and having thoughts. The Pillow app, I don't know that much about it. It's fairly popular. It's a tracking app, and so it's going to use mainly movement to try to estimate your sleep and categorize it into deep and dream and light and all this. Picks up snoring sounds. It also, I think, has a napping module, so you can kind of customize your nap during the day if necessary. And I think it also uses heart rate, if I'm not mistaken. So, but I don't have it. I've never used it. My general opinion about these apps is, motion is a surrogate for measuring sleep. The main way you measure sleep, the most accurate way and traditional way, is through brain waves, EEG. So I think that's what I stick with for tracking sleep. Is tracking sleep helpful? For some people it is, some people not so much. Some people can become more of a distraction. So I think you have to decide if it's right for you. And the accuracy, they're not necessarily, FDA approved or correlated. So, the accuracy, there's sort of two sides to it. There's the accuracy and the validity, sort of like what does it measure? Does it accurately measure something? And is that thing actually sleep? That's those are the two questions, sometimes referred to as sensitivity and specificity. And anyways, it's, you can check it out yourself, but I don't have any personal experience with it. So I can't really share any of that. Any tips for better focus and concentration? I find it difficult to understand things, especially imagining and having thoughts. So focus and attention, focus and attention are kind of byproducts of healthy sleep, good sleep. When someone is struggling with insomnia, the hyperarousal can kind of override that, and they tend to keep attention and focus, during the day and much of the night. But someone who's not struggling with insomnia, better sleep, or maybe enough sleep, if they're shortchanging their sleep for some other reason, a work schedule or caregiving or something like that, it will tend to help attention and focus and short-term memory and things like that. But if you're struggling with insomnia, that tends to kind of be overridden by the hyperarousal usually seen with insomnia. I don't have any specific suggestions about that, about improving those, other than just, get healthy sleep, just learn as much as you can about sleep, make insomnia a past thing or a very rare thing for you. And it generally it generally is, it's fine usually with good sleep. Rudy's asking, pillow app, what is that? If you just go onto the app store, you'll see, you can find the app. You can search for the app, and it's a sleep tracking app. That can, it can be, if you want to check it out, you can. Okay, let's see. How about now? Go back to this. Aha, okay. Oh, and also Anonymous here was asking about especially imagining and having thoughts. So I want to talk just for a second about the imagining side of things. So I'm a big proponent of using your own mind to take focus off of sleep, which generally helps with insomnia. So imagining things, I think, is a kind of a natural thing to do. We all can do it. Our big human brains, they're visually oriented, and everything you experience is generally stored, at least partially, as a visual thing. So if you have an experience, a memory, anything from the past, it's generally in a visual format in your brain. If you read, you're generally picturing what you're reading. You're making the movie. There could be some sound associated with it and these kinds of things, but it's mostly visual. So I'm a proponent of imagining, using imagination, using imagery, visualizations at night if you're awake in bed to really kind of see if you are sleepy or not. And because if you're not sleepy, you don't want to stay there and try to fight it. So I think imagining, using visualizations is very helpful. And I think it can be something that you can kind of get better at the more you do it. So that's kind of my thoughts about imagining from Anonymous there. Okay. Next, we've got, let's see here, jump here. We've got from Eliza on Instagram. I'm very sleepy in the day. I always try to keep myself awake by not nodding off. I'll quickly open my eyes if I find myself falling asleep. I feel that my brain is getting used to it and will also keep myself awake during the night. Whenever I'm drifting off to sleep, my brain would automatically wake up. It's very frustrating, and I'm experiencing hypnic jerks too because of it. It's like the brain is telling me, quote, sorry, you can't sleep, wake up. Totally get that. So I think there's 5 or 6 points that Eliza is making. That was the first one. So I don't see a question in there. It's kind of just she's describing how your brain is kind of keeping you going and keeping you awake. That's the hyperarousal that we often see with insomnia. Second point is a question. Can I not get out of bed when I can't sleep? It makes anxiety worse if I do that. Okay. Yes, you don't have to get out of bed when you can't sleep, but be careful about phrases like can't sleep, because you can sleep. But should you get out of bed? It's totally up to you. I think getting out of the sleeping position is the most important thing. Like you're flat, lights off, quote unquote, trying to sleep. You want to get out of that situation, whether it's sitting up in bed, whether it's going to a chair next to your bed, whether it's literally leaving your bedroom. It's totally up to you. But if you are struggling with sleep, it does make sense to not stay there for a long stretch of time, because you can get some of that classical conditioning that kicks in. And there's nothing you can do to force yourself to sleep. In fact, at the end of these emails, I'm going to go over my top 5 favorite ways that people try to put themselves to sleep. So just be careful about being in the sleeping position. It's kind of, you're trying to will yourself to sleep. It doesn't work. It does make anxiety worse by trying to sleep. But if getting out of bed makes you anxious, then I would say don't get out of bed, but don't be lights off, flat, quote unquote, trying to sleep. Sit up, do something you enjoy, watch a show, read a little bit, do something like that until you feel sleepy again. Number 3, is this normal? I can experience hypnic jerk and awareness for the whole night. It won't stop. It's not, I guess it's not normal, but it's common. It's really common. So again, I think that the hypnic jerk thing, I'm guessing that you're still in bed, trying to put yourself back to sleep. You're aware that you're awake. Again, removing yourself from that situation, I think, is the first step. finding something you enjoy doing, not having the timeless night. All of these things are very helpful. You have to kind of look at being awake at night completely differently. And I think that can help with all of that. Hypnic jerk's really common, as you're falling asleep, as that you're drifting off to sleep, the body can kind of lurch, and that can be part of the hyperarousal, and it tends to kind of subside once sleep gets better. Number 4, I'm a night owl since high school, sleeping between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., getting up between 10 and 11 a.m. However, I would have to experience 2 alarms at 6:30 and 8. I would usually fall back to sleep after that. I can't do that now. What time should my sleep window be? I am doing 2 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. now, and it's not working very well. My sleep efficiency is only 66%. Very bad. I think you want to make sure that your sleep window is reasonable. I think that's a really short sleep window. I don't think it's really ever recommended to have a sleep window under 5 hours. So yours I think is about 4.5. It's 2 a.m. to 6:30. You definitely want to try to relax that a little bit. If you're working with someone, with another sleep coach or something, ask about that. If it's causing anxiety to have that really short sleep window, that can kind of override anything else that you're trying to do for your insomnia. Getting up between 10 and 11 sounds like you're lying in bed for a long time awake until 10 or 11, let's say. You don't want to do that either. So remember, no long stretches of time in bed, alert, trying, quote unquote, trying to sleep. You got to do something else. So I might suggest that you start your wind down a little earlier without knowing what time it is. So maybe your wind down is starting at like 11 or 12, ditching the clock. Timeless night. Start the timeless night even before you go to bed. I'm just such a proponent of that. I think it really helps. Having an attitude of it's normal to be awake a bit at night, and to find something you like to do, to kind of befriend the wakefulness, not, never trying something specific to get yourself to sleep. Your wakefulness will drive your natural sleepiness. But I think, you're worried about the short window, and I agree. I think that would be a little bit anxiety inducing for many people. Sleep efficiency only 66%. I wouldn't get too hung up on that. I would try to work on the sleep window first and just try to get something that's a little more reasonable that works for you. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say it's very bad. It just is what it is. Try to be indifferent about it. And, keep your morning time pretty consistent. I'm a big morning time kind of regulator person to kind of get everything anchored down. So when I hear that, you're up at 6:30, but then you're out of bed at maybe 10, that's a long time if you're lying there in bed expecting sleep to happen. So I would say, you might consider just starting your day, 6:30 or 7, setting that for your morning time and going from there. Really anchoring the circadian rhythm, getting some light exposure in the morning, that kind of normal, natural start of your circadian rhythm, I think might help for you there. So, but all the things you're talking about, I think are really common and not unusual at all. So I think you'll be fine. There's one more part, number 5. Number 5, will this ever be over? Yes, it can. It definitely can end. People fall asleep easily and well over 4 hours with sleep restriction, but I can only manage 3 broken hours. I feel that my brain is not working now. Looking forward to open class. Okay, your brain is working. I think you just have to try some of the things that I talked about, kind of maybe like restructuring the CBT thing a little bit and trying to find a better window that works for you. Keep that morning really anchored. Don't lie in bed long stretches of time at night. Try to avoid the time. These are real practical steps. And then more of the attitudinal side, kind of how you think about your sleep. Make sure that nighttime is not something, it's not something to fear. Some short sleep is not going to harm you at all. You want to kind of learn that waking up at night is completely normal. It's one of my favorite things to tell people who are new to insomnia and what to do and CBTI is that, the brain wakes up a lot at night. It wakes up multiple times. normal, just normal people, normal sleep. My brain wakes up multiple times every night, I don't know, probably like 20, 30 times, often briefly, but sometimes for a little bit longer. You don't want to overreact when that happens. So you want to try to be indifferent. Learn that nighttime can be a very peaceful time, very creative time. You can enjoy it. And if you turn the tables on it like that, it starts to help with sleep. So that's just kind of the way sleep is. You have to just take a little different approach to it. Okay. And finally, let's go back to here. We have an email from Ralph. Hey, Daniel, I discovered you on YouTube and loving your content. Thank you for what you do for those of us with chronic insomnia. Coach Daniel is a definite pioneer in helping people with insomnia. I have a question about noise and light reduction, such as using earplugs, sound machines, blackout blinds, etc. Is this just another form of sleep hygiene that should not be encouraged for those of us with chronic insomnia? So many people are able to sleep well despite loud noises or bright morning light. Should my goal be to sleep through loud noises and bright light? I am just beginning the journey using CBTI. Can CBTI get me to where I can sleep well without earplugs and blackout blinds? Noise and light are two of the big environmental things that are a stimulus. So, I'm not a proponent of introducing doing things for sleep, but the other side of it is kind of more like a sensory deprivation question. I think your brain can adapt to things, but if it's a loud noise, especially chaotic noises, a lot of light kind of shining directly at you in the morning, these are going to be disruptive to your sleep. They'd be disruptive to anyone's sleep. I sleep pretty well. Anyone's sleep pretty much is going to be affected by those. So you want to do the common sense thing. I wouldn't say that if it's bright light and loud noise, that reducing those two things would be an effort. I don't think they're sleep efforts. Don't get focused on exactly how dark it has to be or how quiet it has to be. Just try to reduce them a little bit. I'm kind of a proponent of earplugs. I take them when I travel, strange noises. They've done studies on that. They show that it kind of fragments your sleep a little bit when you're in a new environment with new sounds going on. Blackout blinds, my answer to that, I get that question a lot. It's, there's a light outside my window. Is it bothering my sleep? And I say, just put an old towel up for a couple nights and see if it helps. And if it does, then you've answered your question. This is sensory deprivation. It's not an effort to sleep. So that's what I would say. I would encourage, who's that? Ralph, I think it was, to explore. I think you're fine. Hang in there. I think those are good questions. And it's really something that you can kind of work on a little bit. And let's see if there's anything else in here that I missed. Can CBTI get me to where I sleep well without earplugs and blackout blinds? I would say possibly. That would be my answer to that. There's no way to really know for sure, but sensory deprivation isn't really a sleep effort. Sensory deprivation in the very common sense, logical way is fine. Okay, so those were the email questions. Great questions. Thank you, everyone, for those. I appreciate it. Sorry for the glitch in the beginning. Like I've said before, I'm a little older than Daniel. This is kind of more new stuff to me, but hanging in there and trying to get it figured out here. So I want to also, I want to briefly talk about the five most common things that I hear that people do to get to sleep that don't work. And I'm going to run through them. The first is trying to sleep, simply trying to will yourself to sleep. Willing yourself to sleep never works. It makes everything worse. It's the purest of kind of sleep effort that there is. Willing yourself, trying to convince yourself that there's a way that you can fall asleep. That is simply going to perpetuate insomnia, and it's not possible. Second most common way that I've heard over the years is people try to think about nothing. They try to clear their mind, think about nothing. And it's not really possible to think about absolutely nothing. Your brain is always going to process some kind of information. If nothing's immediately available, it will make something up. You can't turn your brain off. And so I tell people that I just remind them, like, you can't not think about something. So don't try to think about nothing. And oftentimes when I suggest that to a client, they kind of, you can see it kind of like relaxes them. Like, yeah, they've tried it. And I'm here to tell them that it's not possible. So if you're going to try to do something that's not possible, it's going to get really frustrating really fast, and it's going to make everything worse. So I just remind them, don't try to clear your mind and think about nothing. The third thing that people do that I've heard a lot is they try to bore themselves to sleep. So the classic, of course, is counting sheep, and something methodical, monotonous. They try to, read the most boring thing they can find, owner's manuals for things and the dictionary, and they grab the biggest, boringest looking book on their bookshelf, and then they just start reading it. That gets frustrating really fast. No one sticks. You're not going to stick with it. It's just not a practical thing to do. You can be bored, but not sleepy. Sleepy's different. And I propose that sleepiness, kicks in when there's an absence of any kind of effort and you're using your imagination in your own mind. I think that's when sleepiness can then get strong enough, and then sleep has a chance of happening. So trying really hard to will yourself to sleep, trying to clear your mind and think about nothing, trying to bore yourself. Another one would be, just physically trying to wear yourself out, whether it's during the daytime, you're trying to do so much physical activity that you just, you're just trying to physically wear yourself out. So you'll just be exhausted. Well, once again, you can be exhausted, but not sleepy. Exercise is good for all kinds of reasons. And it does tend to help your sleep get a little deeper when you are sleeping, and that's a good thing. But when you do it, like with anything, if you're doing something with the purpose, the intent that it's going to make you sleep, it's not going to hold up. It's a slippery slope. And so you want to take care of yourself. Just be common sense, take care of yourself. Ask your doctor, what can I do? How do I exercise? What can I do? That's all you need to do. And then a secondary side of this, trying to physically wear yourself out, sometimes I'll hear people once in a while, if they can't sleep, like, get on the treadmill or something, and they'll just try to wear themselves out. They'll pace the halls, they'll walk up and down their stairs. They do all these kinds of things. There's a secondary effect of doing things like that at night, and that is that it kind of, gets your cortisol up a little bit. And that's not when you want your cortisol to be rising. It is at night. It gets your body temperature up, which is going to naturally fall when you fall asleep. So you don't want to artificially raise it like during the night. So, exercise is great during the day. Common sense. That's it. So then the fifth and the final thing is alcohol. Alcohol, it's the most popular sleeping substance in the world. And it's the big message is, ask your doctor if any alcohol is safe. If you like to have a glass of wine with dinner, I think I've rarely heard that that's a problem for anyone. If you're on a medication that it becomes a problem, you ask your doctor. So always ask your doctor about anything like that. But moderate alcohol, maybe without food, maybe closer to the later at night, it gets problematic. It does, it can kind of fragment your sleep. So on a consistent basis, you really don't want to do that. You just, if you want good consolidated sleep, that would be, I would discourage that. It's a CNS depressant. It produces kind of a sedation. And so instead of natural sleep, it makes your sleep apnea worse. It makes snoring worse. It's a diuretic, makes a couple extra bathroom trips. It fragments sleep later in the night because it's carbohydrate, you're metabolizing it. So for a myriad of reasons, it's not a good idea, but there's like two sides of it. There's the moderation side. Because often, like a social event, you might have a glass of alcohol. I would say that, if your doctor is like, yeah, a glass of alcohol is not going to hurt you, and it goes with a social event, the social event might be actually better for your sleep. So you want to kind of look at it in that context. I'm not a proponent of, drinking, but in moderation. If it goes with a social thing that that's a fun thing and it gets you socially engaged, that's a good thing. And that actually will also help your sleep. So that would be, I just like to throw out those comments about alcohol. It's never recommended, of course, but ask your doctor. and learn how it affects you. That's really the main thing. So those are I just want to share my 5 most common things I've heard over the years of what I do to get to sleep, and if someone's talking to me about their sleep, I mean, it really means none of that works, which I know it doesn't, but they've kind of proven it. And I can kind of, point that out, like, you've tried these things and they don't work. So, sleep is different. You just have to take a different approach. Let's see, another message here, chat message from Rubasha. Hey, Michael, I struggle with battling my mind when I get into bed. It's like my mind knows I'm trying not to assert any effort and then tries even harder to fall asleep. It's like a never-ending loop. Yes, I completely get that. Your mind, your brain, it's watching out for you all the time. And if sleep is a little problematic, the brain can sometimes kick into like overdrive. Like, well, what is this? How, we're not sleeping. We're not sleeping. What could it be? Let's look for a cause. So your brain is doing some of that kind of on its own. It's naturally trying to look for the reason that sleep is not happening. And it's just like a vicious cycle. It's that, it's like the arrows chasing each other in the NATO philosophy. So you have to understand that first and foremost. You got to understand that your mind is your brain is trying to protect you all the time. From there, you can get into real practical behavioral things. Laying down flat in your dark bedroom is trying. So you don't want to do that behaviorally. So find something else to do. Like I was mentioning before, sitting up, fine. A little lamp next to you or something. Maybe even watch a show on TV. That's fine. No knowledge of the timeless night, I think really helps. But yes, I'm reading your text again. It's like, your mind knows it's like you're trying not to assert effort, and then tries even harder to fall asleep. So you're having kind of this inner struggle. So I get that, the never ending loop, and there's no off switch to the brain. So I suggest to anyone in that situation that you take your mind somewhere visually. And that could be like, I like reading a little bit because it kind of takes your mind somewhere, gives you imagery in your mind, which then when you start to lose focus on your imagery, that's a sign that you're truly sleepy. And that's when you want to maybe kick the light off, lay back down, and then take your mind there. Go somewhere in your mind. When you turn that light off and you settle in, take your time, no breathing pattern, no, tapping your fingers together, no, monotonous mentally counting something and all that. None of that works. It's all kind of effort. But when you do imagery in your mind, that's natural. That's like your brain's natural, you're tapping into a natural ability to visualize. So doing that in your mind, it takes you away. It takes you away from what's happening. You can't try to sleep if you're trying to do imagery. If you're trying to focus on a memory or a movie or a book you were just reading, that's the brain in its natural state. And then if you ever find that gets difficult, it's not working out, you're lying, it's been a while and you're still kind of trying to do imagery, that's your cue. Sit back up, go back to the show, the book, the coloring, the journaling, whatever crafty thing, whatever you like to do, until you start losing focus again. That's kind of my take on the CBTI thing. It's like how you don't try, really. Mental imagery in your own mind is how you don't try. So anyways, I hope that answered that question there. I think that's just about it. I just wanted to share with you my my thoughts about things that people do to try to sleep. Once again, at the top of the show, when I was fumbling with the technology, I apologize for that, is on the YouTube channel, Daniel's interview with Casper, whose mom passed of sporadic fatal insomnia. Listen to that or watch that interview. It's really insightful. It's way more, Casper provided way more than I could ever suggest about this very, very rare condition. And it might kind of put you at ease a little bit if you kind of have in your back of your mind, well, I read about this thing, I think I might have it. Watch the interview, listen to Casper and what he was saying about the situation with his late mother. Okay. I think that is it. And if anyone has, oh, Melena's on. Hey, Melena. Let's see. When I go to a party or event with loud music, happy environment, when I go home, I can't go sleep right away, regardless of how tired I am. Why do you think this is? Just curious. Well, right off the bat, tired is different. It's not sleepiness. They're different. Tired's like you're physically tired. You kind of like worn out, fatigue, that sort of thing. Sleepy, the definition of sleepy means you're struggling to stay awake. That's what sleepy means. You're struggling to stay awake. So if you go to a big social engagement or something like that, and then you come home and, you get ready for bed and you go to bed and you could be kind of like worked up, you're still kind of excited about the event or something like that. Make sure that you're only getting to bed if you're sleepy. So, maybe it's going to be a little bit shorter night, which is perfectly fine. In fact, it sounds like you had a great experience. And so, that's good. That's what you want. So, don't worry about a short night if you had a really neat event that you went to. And that's life. That's what you want to do. So you want to make sure you're more than tired when you go to bed. So tired, that word right there stuck out at me when I read your text. So I think you'll be just fine. And So enjoy things, in the evening. Don't worry about if it's a late night once in a while. Try not to shortchange your sleep every single night. That's not recommended. That's sleep deprivation. And that's, you got it, Melina. That's sleep deprivation. That's not insomnia. Those are two completely different things. So understanding that is really helpful. And, if you have things at night that you occasionally go to, a social event or something, it's great. And it can help build your sleep confidence, actually, because, if you do all the things that you've learned on this channel, the next day, you don't look back on the night. Who cares if it was short? Don't even focus on that. You just go on your day. It's like the hiking trip and you stumble over the rock in the path. It's the same idea. You just go forward and allow yourself to get sleepy the next night, which might happen a little earlier. It might not. But it helps, I think, with sleep confidence when you don't give up the things that you think might make your insomnia worse. And I know, Melena, you're just curious about the question. I totally get that. But for those of you who are listening that are thinking, I shouldn't do this at night. I should schedule, just as much sleep as I need. And I should say no to anything that ever comes up if it's later than whatever, 6 p.m. or something like that. Understand that you're driving your insomnia by doing that. You're perpetuating it by avoiding situations like that. All the things, this is a homeostatic drive. Sleepiness is homeostatic and it's just going to kind of run its course. But you got to understand that avoiding things that in your mind will make it more difficult, you're kind of driving it. It's like a reverse sleep effort almost. So you want to make sure that you're enjoying yourself within reason, right? That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Thank you, Melena. Appreciate your being on again. And it looks like no other questions. So let's see. Daniel will be on tomorrow, the broadcast. He and I will be on together on Friday as usual. And I'll be back the Monday after that. You can always send us emails at questions@thesleepcoachschool.com. And we can address them. You can also go to the Facebook and Instagram channels there and contact us that way as well. So we hopefully on Friday we'll have an update about the self-coaching school, the self-coaching master program, the membership program that we're going to be launching, and it's going to be really soon. So we're super excited about that and really just want to help you guys as best we can. And, no medical advice or anything. But, this is really, I really like the questions you guys are submitting. They're really insightful and they're unique with elements of things that we've heard before, of course. So really just happy to be offering this guidance to anyone who's interested. So thank you again, everyone. And I will see you guys on Friday. Have a good week. Bye-bye.